Welcome to Flashpoints. I'm Jeff Pegues, joined as usual by CBS News Senior National Security Analyst Juan Zarate.
Jeff, good to see you.
As you know, the American flag is going up in Cuba at the embassy there as the process of normalizing relations continues. What's next?
Well, Jeff, this is really a symbolic move. Keep in mind the U.S. has had an interest section in Havana for some time. That's where we've had consular type activities. But this is the next step in more diplomatic openings and exchange with Cuba. What you've already seen, given the changes in some of the regulations, is American businesses and interests beginning to posture for doing more business with and in Cuba. And so that's already begun, flirtations with what investment may look like. And the next step is really the political step. And I think this is where the embassies become symbolically important. You've had the embassy open here in Washington, the Cuban flag now flying here in Washington. Now you're going to have the American flag flying officially in Havana. And the hope is that that then opens up a new era of political rapprochement between the countries.
Well, let's talk about some areas where that may happen in the earliest stages of this now new relationship. Where do you think there will be more political cooperation between the two nations?
Well, I think what's really going to happen here, Jeff, is that you're going to have more cultural, sports, and economic exchange up front. I think the political side is harder, in part because the political side implicates some degree of openness and change in Cuba itself. And Cuba itself is still run by the Castro government. Fidel Castro just had his birthday. He's still with us. Raul Castro runs the country. The regime is really the same. They're in control of much of the economy, the security state. They're repressing political rights. So until you get movement on that front, you're not going to see the grand political opening I think people hope for. But I do think this is a moment, if we're going to do this, if we're going to have an opening, to begin to pressure the Cuban government on those political issues. And I think we've been a bit timid on that, I think, that's my opinion to date, but I think that becomes the second phase of this engagement.
Mm-hmm. And with the embassy opening, no dissidents part of this program there. Is that some sort of symbolic message that perhaps shows that there is still some things to work out?
There's no doubt. There's still tension. There's still mistrust in the relationship. These are decades worth of mistrust between the governments in particular. And as I said, the regime, you know, we've had countless presidents that Castro has outlived. The regime in Havana is still the same. It's changed over time. It's had to weather the fall of the Soviet Union, but it is still a revolutionary communist regime, and I think we have to keep that in mind as we look forward. The relationship isn't going to change overnight, and we can't hope that it's necessarily going to change from the top. And I think that's a bit of the strategy here. Can we open it? Can we deluge it with American influence and commerce? And can that impact as a younger demographic takes over in the country?
All right, and we will see what happens. For Juan Zarate, I am Jeff Pegues, and that is Flashpoints.